What is going on, guys? It is your boy Coach Dusty. Today we got a brand new video. We're going to be talking about the pros and cons of being an OTR truck driver. Now, those of you guys that are new to the channel, I have been driving OTR for a little over 13 months now, and it has been a great journey. There's ups, there's downs, there's pros and cons. So we're going to get into that today. So if you guys are looking to get into truck driving, this is going to be a good video for you guys to watch. It will be probably a little bit longer than some of my other videos, but yeah, there's gonna be some great content here. So let's start with the cons, honestly, because when someone says, you know, you want the good news or the bad news first, I always say, give me the bad news. So that's what we're gonna get into today. So I got a little notebook here and I kind of jotted down some cons that we're gonna talk about. So first things first, long hours and inconsistent hours. Now, those of you guys that know a little bit about truck driving, we work 24/7. It doesn't matter what time of the day you might have to be driving depending on the load appointments. Now, as a truck driver, all your loads are going to be time sensitive. So there's times where you might be picking up at 2 a.m. in the morning and you got to drive during the night. There's times you might pick up at 10 p.m. at night. There's times you might pick up at 8 a.m. It all varies. It all depends on the shipper, and that's how you kind of have to work. Some days you're going to be working mornings, some days you're going to be working nights, but primarily it depends on the company and it depends on the type of customers that you have. Thankfully, with my company, I'm driving most of the time during the day. Most of the time my pickups are anywhere between like 5 a.m. to, I don't know, 11 a.m. For most loads. There is some loads where you will have like a window where sometimes you'll pick up a trailer that's already loaded and you can kind of come between a certain amount of hours and just grab the load. Ideally, you want to get there ASAP so you have more time on the load to make your delivery. And sometimes that's pretty similar with your deliveries as well. You'll have a window where you could kind of drop it off whenever. Other times you'll have a live unload, which means you're backing up to a loading dock and they're unloading the truck from the distribution warehouse. So those ones are pretty time sensitive. You got to be on time, because if you're more than an hour late, you lose your slot, you lose your appointment, and then you have to get it rescheduled. You'll probably end up getting, you know, a service failure with your company, and you know, it doesn't look good. So you want to make sure you're on time for your appointments. But that's how it goes with truck driving. You're gonna have long days. There's some days where you're gonna be working 13, 14 hours from the time you start your clock to the time you finish. Now, there's days where you might have to drive 10, 11 hours. As you guys know, the most amount of hours you could drive in a day is 11 hours. Now, that doesn't happen too often if you kind of space out the load. You know, you do 400 miles this day, 450 this day, 475 this day. You could primarily, most of the time, only have to drive 8 to 9 and a half hours. But there is some days where you got to make up time if there's some delay, where you are running your whole clock. So be prepared for long hours and inconsistent hours. So next, parking. As you guys know, truck stops are very far and few between. There is times where if you're stopping between that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m. at night, it can definitely be tough to find parking depending on the state, the area that you're in, the amount of truck stops in that area. It always varies. Now, the more experience you get, the more you can kind of know, okay, I know I've been to that truck stop at 10 p.m. at night, and I know there's like 200 spots. I'll be able to find a spot. That's why it's very important that you guys have Trucker Path, because on the Trucker Path, you could kind of see the truck stop, do a satellite view. You could see how many parking spots they have. And with Trucker Path, you kind of, other drivers could kind of, it's kind of like Waze in a sense, where you could update drivers on how many spots, like roughly how many spots are left. If it's full, if there's some spots, if there's many spots, if there's only paid spots left. So it's important to kind of trip plan which truck stop you're going to stop at. Now, like I said, I try to drive, if I can, between the hours of 5 a.m. to I want to be shut down by no later than 6:30 if I can, right? There is days where you will have to push it a little bit further, and there's days where I'm able to stop at 4 p.m. and I get a great spot. But the later after that, roughly 7:38, you're pushing, depending on the type of truck stop. There's some truck stops that only have 50, 60 spots. And there might only be a couple spots left at around that 6, 7, 8 o'clock time, and it could be stressful. So that's just part of the job. It's part of the industry that we're in. There's just not enough truck stops and rest areas to support the amount of trucks that are on the road at a given time. Now, if you like driving at night, all power to you. Drive at night. You'll never have to worry about getting a spot once you finish your shift by the morning time. But like I said, it really always depends on the type of load that you're on, and what time you pick it up versus what time you deliver. That's going to normally determine what time of the day you're going to be driving in. So parking, it sucks, but it is what it is. I've never really had too much of an issue. Sometimes, like you said, you got to be creative with spots. There's times where you have to kind of make a spot. There's truck stops where it might be completely full, but you can kind of park along the curb, or or park next to a truck where it should probably be a truck parking spot, but they just never drew the lines or painted the lines for that spot. So you could get creative, and you'll notice that truck drivers, we get creative when it comes to parking spots. Next, breakdown. Breakdown is another one that absolutely sucks, because with breakdown, you never know when it's going to happen. You might be picking up a loaded trailer, you got a nice drop and hook, you think the day is going to be going completely smooth, and you pick up the trailer and it's got, it's bald tires. There's no tread in the tires, or it's got a nail in the tire, and you got to get it replaced. And now okay, well, this is going to set me back, because now I got to find a truck repair center, a tire shop, or have a road call to get this truck fixed, and it could be a delay. And then it's like, okay, well, now I thought I'd be able to stop at 5 p.m. tonight, but now it's looking like I might not be able to stop till 8, 9 p.m. So having breakdown obviously delays your load. Sometimes you got to get a load rescheduled because you're broke down. There's nothing you can do sometimes if it's the trailer. Now, sometimes if it's the tractor, your company will just repower you, where you'll switch trailers with another driver. They'll and then you could go get your truck fixed. There is times where I've been broken down for 3-4 days waiting on a part, right? And thankfully with my company, with Stevens, they'll put you in a hotel if you're going to be broken overnight and you can't really stay in the truck. So that's nice. It's nice to sometimes get breakdown pay, get a little day or two off. But obviously we don't make as much money when we're broke down compared to if we're getting paid by the mile. So it sucks. I had a buddy who just had to get his truck towed the other day. Shout out Will, one of my best friends in this trucking journey. Big back motherfucker. I'm just kidding. I love you, Will. But he had to get his truck towed. He broke down. Literally, his truck just literally turned off when he was on the interstate, and that's scary, bro. Like this shit is no joke sometimes. These thankfully with most of my repairs, it wasn't too crazy. It was just windshield, air leaks, tires that needed to be replaced. Nothing too serious when it comes to breakdown, but there can be times where your truck is just something's wrong with the engine, and you got to get it towed. Sometimes you got to get it towed to a dealership, and then you're sitting there waiting there for 3, 4, 5 days at a time, and you're not making money. So that's just part of the deal when it comes to this journey. It does suck, but we're driving trucks that have engines in them, and engines they fail, and it's part of the job. I just had to get my APU fixed because I got that red ring of death the other day again, and APU wasn't working. Thankfully this time when I went to go get the APU fixed, it only took them 2 hours. Sometimes you could be in and out of these repair centers, and it's not that big of a deal. Obviously an APU isn't as important than obviously your truck in and of itself. It's not something that's going to prevent you from driving, but you want to be comfortable in your truck. But thankfully right now it's not even that, it's not hot. It's it's the fall time, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I kind of delayed it. I kind of procrastinated getting it fixed. I was just kind of like living without it, but I knew I was taking home time right now, so I was like, you know what, I'll just get this fixed before I start my home time. Next, weather. Weather is a big con, because with weather, right, you're kind of at the mercy of Mother Nature. There's times where you're going to be driving in crazy snowstorms. I don't drive in snow, right? I will shut down and not drive. It's just, my safety comes before the load at all times. But it's going to delay your load, and you might have to get that load rescheduled. If you know a snowstorm is coming through, you want to make sure that you do find a parking spot, because it's the same thing when it's snowing. These truck stops are going to fill up quick, and you don't want to be caught in a snowstorm on the side of the road, or because there's no parking. So try to trip plan. If you know you're going to be coming into snow, know that you stop, kind of see how the storm is progressing. If it's bad, don't drive. Like, just don't do it. You can get weather shutdown pay. Most of these OTR companies, they will pay you. They don't want you driving in the snow, man. Like, you're at risk of getting in an accident and causing the company thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, versus just having to pay a late fee for the load and getting it rescheduled. It's really more profitable for the companies to have you not drive in crazy snowstorms. Now, rain's another story. Rain is really not the worst. Sometimes you just got to drive slower. But there is times where you're driving in crazy ass rain, and the you got your hazards on, you're driving 20-30 miles an hour because you can barely see in front of you, and that's part of the job. There is times where you're going to be driving through some crazy rainstorms. Just drive slow, be safe. Now, crazy wind is something that you do have to be very cautious about, because depending on how much weight you have in the trailer, or if you're empty and you're deadheading somewhere, you got to be very cautious on the wind gust. Now, there's two different types of wind. There's consistent wind, constant wind, whatever you call it, and there's wind gust. Now, the gust is what, it's pretty self-explanatory. A big wind gust comes through, and if you're empty, you're going at the right angle, right time. That wind gust, if it's 40, 50, 60 miles per hour, that could tip your trailer. And I've seen it happen. I've seen trucks be flipped over. But if you're fully loaded and you got 40,000 pounds in the trailer, most of the time, most wind speeds, you're pretty good, unless you're driving through like a hurricane or like a tornado area. But there's definitely Google spreadsheets that kind of tell you, okay, if you got 30,000 pounds in the trailer, you could sustain wind gusts up to this speed and all that. Google it. I have it, and I do check that. If I know I'm going to be driving in 40 mile per hour wind gusts, I want to know, okay, what is the safe weight that I should have in the trailer, so that nothing bad happens, right? But you still want to drive slow in crazy wind. But the weather app on your iPhone is helpful, because if you go to the wind section under the weather app, you can kind of see exactly the chart for what the wind speed is, the wind gusts, and also the chart for, okay, at 2 p.m., what's the wind gust going to, is it going to be increasing? Is it going to be decreasing? These are things that you want to look into when you are, trip planning your route for that day, depending on, the city that you're in, the cities that you're going to be driving through, because, you might be in this area, but in 50 miles, the wind's actually going to be increasing versus decreasing. So you want to, if it's a windy day, you want to kind of, plug in to your weather app. Okay, in this city, when I drive another hour, what is the wind going to be looking like? What is the rain going to be looking like, right? You want to really take the time to do this, because it's going to save you down the road. You want to, because sometimes you might need to start a little bit early, because that the wind's going to be getting, bad, or you sometimes want to wait and not start your shift until the wind starts to die down. These are things that you really got to be aware of when it comes to driving, because at the end of the day, we are at the mercy of Mother Nature. Now, the last con that I could really think of is giving away free time. So as a truck driver, we give away a lot of free time, right? We get paid cents per mile. So those first 2 hours when you're at a shipper or receiver, you're not getting paid for it. You're getting your truck unloaded, you're getting your truck loaded. And detention, which is what you get paid per hour after 2 hours. So with our company, we get paid $20 an hour after the first 2 hours of getting loaded or getting unloaded. So say I've been there for 3 hours, I'll get $20. If I've been there for 4 hours, I'll get $40 of detention. Now, it's minuscule because you're not really there that long, and it doesn't happen too often, but you want to make sure that you are getting your layover and your detention, especially after those hours, because every little bit of money counts. But those first 2 hours, it sucks, right? But take the time to take a nap, watch a movie, relax, eat some food. You are an OTR truck driver. You have a full-on sleeper cab at the tip of your fingers, to where you could make the use of that time that you're not working, even though you technically are working, because you're waiting on a phone call, you're waiting to see the green light that your trailer's been unloaded, or you know what I mean. So it still feels like you're working, but you're not getting paid for it, and that's what's kind of annoying. Another one is getting your trailer washed out, right? Sometimes these blue beacons, these truck washes, you're waiting an hour and a half to get your trailer washed out, and you're just sitting there waiting, not getting paid. You're not driving, you're not getting miles in. It's the same thing with breakdown, right? You're not really getting paid for that unless it's after a certain amount of hours that you've been broken down. That's when breakdown normally kicks in. Each company is different. Some companies, you do get paid for every hour that you're on breakdown. That's a good company right there. So yeah, there's definitely some cons when it comes to this job, but I think, guys, that the pros, obviously there's one more. Obviously, being away from your family, right? No one could deny that. That if you're getting into truck driving, especially OTR, you're going to be away from your family for weeks at a time. So you got to keep that in mind when if you think this is something for you. So yeah, overall cons, they suck, but not the end of the world, right? So let's go with the pros. Obviously, number one, the pay. As a truck driver, you have opportunity to make a lot of money in this industry, whether you want to go be an owner operator down the road, whether you want to be local, whether you want to be a lease operator. There's a lot of different avenues that you could kind of choose to dependent on how much money you want to make. You could stay out for 6-7 weeks at a time and work every single day, right? Unless you have to take a 34-hour reset every once in a while. But some companies, if you were to have a regular job at home, you're working 9 to 5, you're limited to only being able to work 8 hours a day. As a truck driver, we could work 7 days a week, right? So think about all the extra time and hours you're putting into the career that you're in. You're going to be compensated for that. So that's what's nice about it. You could stay out and work and really put in some hard, long hours in for weeks at a time, and your bank account's going to show it. There's been times where I've been out 6 weeks at a time, just stacking bread, working every single day as much as possible, because I know the money's there. The money's there, and as long as you're getting the miles in, as long as you're a good driver, you're getting their loads on time, your company's going to give you good loads. You're going to get those longer loads. You're going to get those higher paying loads, and it's going to work out for you. So there's definitely a lot of money with this job, and the more years you put in, the more you're going to get paid per mile, and that's always a good thing, right? The more time off you're going to build up, the more paid holidays you'll get off, or whatever. As an OTR truck driver, you don't really get paid holidays. That's more of a local thing, but you'll be able to take more time off and get paid for it. Like, I got a week paid off just recently when I went on that cruise, because I've been with the company for a year, right? So that's definitely awesome. Pay's good, but the more experience you get, the pay will be even better. Now, next, low expenses, right? A lot of my friends, they've sold their cars, got rid of their apartments, they're living in their truck. It's the same thing for me. I don't have an apartment right now. I got most of my belongings in the truck. I got the rest of my stuff at family's house, right? I got my car still, some people get rid of their car because they don't want to have to pay car insurance, you know, car note, whatever. And they're just stacking everything, because then what are they paying for? You're paying for your phone bill, you're paying for insurance, you're paying your health insurance, you're paying for maybe your, you know, T-Mobile hotspot internet, like, and food. Like, you're not really spending a lot of money as a truck driver if you're good with money. Now, you can blow money. I've seen a lot of truck drivers spend $20, $30 a day because they're eating out every day. These truck stops, you know, the food isn't cheap. If you're eating, you know, fast food, going out to restaurants and stuff, that's not the best way to go about it, right? You could, you know, get a mini fridge, get a microwave, get something that you could cook in. I'm not really one that likes to cook too much, but I'll eat things that I could kind of warm up in a microwave. I'll do a lot of like sandwich meat and protein bars. I got a protein shake right here, fruit, things that I could just kind of eat that aren't too expensive, but are also healthy for me. So you could definitely cut back on a lot of expenses with this job if you are good with money. And what does that mean? That means more money in your pocket at the end of the day. So not having to pay, you know, $1,200 for a 1-bedroom apartment is, you know, it's a win for me. I'm able to, you know, it's over $15,000 a year that I'm technically making, well, saving, but, you know, it feels like I'm living at a higher living wage because of not having those expenses. So the next is travel, home time, right? Right now I'm in Buffalo, New York. I got a date with my girlfriend, hanging out with her all this week. It's chill. I can take time off wherever I want, really. As long as an OTR truck driver, as long as you communicate with your dispatch, you could get loads to anywhere in the country and take time off, right? My first time off I went to Las Vegas for a wedding, guys. How cool is that? I literally got a load to Las Vegas, took a week off in Vegas, right? Then I live in Florida now. I took time off in Florida. I went to for Christmas. I took a week off in North Carolina to visit my aunts and my cousins. Then I had a wedding in California. Well, I had a wedding in Hawaii, guys, but I got a load to LA, California, parked at one of our yards in California, got a flight from LAX to Hawaii. It was only 6 hours. I saved money on the flight because I didn't have to fly all the way from Florida to Cali and then get a layover to Hawaii. I had like literally a direct flight from California to Hawaii. Took 5 days off in Hawaii, right? I visited my friends back in New York for 5 days, right? I've been all over the country taking time off, right? Some people, they don't want to take time off, but it's still fun to travel and to see the country. Now, as a truck driver, you're not really, I mean, definitely take the time to actually get out of your truck, guys, and take a 34 and go do something, right? Because at the end of the day, you're just driving on the highway, driving on the interstate. You might be driving through some towns that are kind of cool you might have never been through, but if you don't take the time to actually go explore and be a little bit of a tourist, you know, what's this for? You know, you gotta live life as well. It can't just be work. You gotta take time off in different cities and explore and really live life to the fullest. I think that's what's awesome about this. So I'm going to Niagara Falls this weekend, right? I went to a Bills game the other day. Never would have been to a Bills game, you know, if it wasn't for being able to get a load to Buffalo and park my truck at the dealership, right? It's like, it's cool. It's awesome. I love that about this job and about this career, is that I can take time off wherever. So that's obviously a nice little incentive, a nice little perk of the job. Now, lastly, I know I probably could go on about these pros, but I want to keep this video around 30 minutes. Lastly, is it's fun to drive, man. At the end of the day, if you're getting into truck driving, it's probably because you like to drive. These big trucks, they're fun, man. I know it could be a little intimidating at first. You know, you might be in CDL school right now. You might be considering getting a CDL. Just go for it, man. It's fun to drive. If you're a good driver, if you're safe, if you can keep your emotions under control when you're driving, because there can be a lot of, you know, dumb drivers on the road. You got to be able to stay patient. Patience is is huge with this job. If you could really keep a level head, shoulder, if you could stay level headed with this job, it could be a lot of fun. If you don't let, like I said, if you don't let your emotions get to you. And these trucks are nice, man. Like, if you're with a good company, you're going to be driving new equipment. Now, my truck's a 2021. It is a little bit older compared to some of the other trucks we have in our fleet. You know, we have 2024s that have been rolled out. 2025s are probably about to start getting rolled out, right? These trucks are nice, man. You know, I got a nice Peterbilt. Got the APU, sleeper cab. Got my posters here. You know, curtains slide across. I got my mini fridge, microwave up there. So you can make the most. You could definitely, you know, you're definitely going to drive some fun trucks at the end of the day. If you like driving, it's definitely a good industry to get into, guys, at the end of the day. So I hope you guys, you know, enjoyed this video. I didn't want to ramble on too much, but I definitely wanted to get straight into it of the pros versus cons if you are considering being a truck driver. I've been enjoying it. I don't see myself going anywhere. I'm going to stay in the industry. This is something that I enjoy doing. As long as I stay healthy, I take time off, I keep myself feeling like I actually am living a life outside of work, because it can be tough at times when you've been in the truck for a while and you start to get accustomed to that lifestyle. You can definitely get a little homesick. So take the time to take time off, see your family. But yeah, hope you guys, you know, I wish you guys the best. If you guys are looking to get into OTR truck driving and are looking to get your CDL, come to Stevens Transport, man. We got a great training program, and you know, it's only took 4 weeks to get my CDL, and then 6 weeks with a trainer. You got your own truck, and then the rest is history. So let me know what you guys think. Drop a like in the comments below. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'm going to be posting more and more videos. I got some more video ideas that I'm going to start to pump out. So yeah, until next time, this has been your boy Coach Dusty. I'm out. Peace.